Most men don't realize how dangerous it is to love a woman who never loved them back. Not because she breaks your heart, but because she makes you doubt your own worth, your own reality, and your own ability to recognize love. A woman who never truly loved you doesn't stab you in the heart. She drains you slowly. She rewires you. She makes you believe that her bare minimum was love, that her emotional absence was normal, and that your pain was somehow your fault. And the worst part? You won't notice it while you're in it. You'll call it, maybe she's just tired, maybe I'm overthinking, maybe I'm the problem. Because when a man loves, he gives reasons. When a woman never loved, she gives excuses. Women don't fake love the way men think. They don't act obsessively, emotionally, romantically. They fake love with just enough attention to keep you invested, just enough affection to keep you hopeful, just enough validation to keep you chasing. Not because she loves you, but because she loves the power she has over you. So before you waste another year thinking she just needs time or she will change, understand this. If she never loved you, there were signs from day one. You just refused to see them. And today we're going to expose those signs with zero mercy. Because this video is not for the guy who wants fairy tales. This is for the man who is finally ready to face the truth, even if it hurts. These are the 7 signs she never really loved you. And if even one of them feels familiar, you were never loved. You were just used, tolerated, or replaced in advance. Sign 1. Her love had conditions. Love is supposed to be unconditional, not blind, not stupid, but unconditional in the sense that you don't have to earn it every single day just to keep it alive. But when a woman never truly loved you, her affection always had terms and conditions. She only cared when you were useful. She only acted sweet when she needed something. She only played the loving role when it benefited her image, her comfort, or her ego. The moment the benefit stopped, the love disappeared with it, instantly, coldly, without hesitation. A woman who truly loves you doesn't switch her love on and off like a Wi-Fi router. But a woman who never loved you sees love as a transaction, and you were nothing but a source of attention, validation, support, or convenience. She didn't want you. She wanted what came with you: your loyalty, your time, your emotional investment, your availability. And the second you stopped feeding her needs, she made you feel like you were the problem. She didn't love you when you were down. She didn't love you when you were tired. She didn't love you when you needed comfort. She only loved you when you were performing, giving, doing, proving, fixing, or chasing. Because her version of love was conditional loyalty from you and unconditional access for her. That's why you always felt like you had to earn her approval. That's why you were scared to say the wrong thing. That's why you felt like you were losing her every time you set a boundary. That's why you kept apologizing even when she was the one who disrespected you. She wanted the power, not the partnership. She wanted control, not connection. And here's how you know it was never real love. The moment you stopped meeting her conditions, she didn't get sad, she got cold. She didn't try to fix anything, she switched to replacement mode. She didn't ask what's wrong. She acted like she never knew you. Because a woman who never loved you doesn't break up with you. She simply outgrows the benefit and moves on like nothing existed. No emotional collapse, no regret, no reflection, just detachment. Because you were never in her heart, only in her schedule. And here's the painful truth. If love disappears the moment you stop giving, it was never love, it was dependency disguised as affection. If her sweetness came only when she wanted something, it wasn't love. It was manipulation with a smile. If you had to deserve her care, you were never loved. You were managed. A woman who truly loves you will stay even when you have nothing to offer except your presence. A woman who never loved you will leave the moment the advantages stop flowing. So ask yourself, was her love there when you were weak, confused, struggling, or lost? Or was it only there when you were useful, impressive, and predictable? Because real love stays when conditions fail. Fake love ends the moment conditions change. And if you lived your whole relationship terrified of losing her, that's because deep down you already knew. You weren't loved. You were allowed to exist as long as you stayed convenient. Sign 2, her actions never matched her words. A woman who never really loved you doesn't lie with silence, she lies with words. She knows exactly what to say to keep you hopeful, committed, and emotionally invested, even when she has zero intention of backing any of it up. She'll talk like a future wife but act like a temporary guest. She'll promise loyalty but behave like she has options lined up. She'll say, I care, but the moment you need her, she becomes the coldest person in your life. With her, you didn't fall for love. You fell for language dressed as love. She told you she missed you, but only replied when it was convenient. She said she valued you, but disrespected you in public and private. She said, we're in this together. Yet every time life got hard, somehow you ended up handling everything alone. She said, you matter, yet she never showed up, never prioritized you, never chose you when it required effort. That's because women who never loved you overuse emotional promises and underdeliver emotional reality. They know men listen to actions but fall for words. They know men don't need poetry, they just need partnership. Yet they flood you with phrases that feel warm enough to erase the coldness of their behavior. She texted like a girlfriend, acted like a stranger. She posted quotes about loyalty, but flirted with attention. She spoke about forever, but lived like you were optional. You kept giving chances not because she deserved them, but because her words gave you hope. And hope is the strongest form of emotional manipulation when someone has no real intention to change. Here's the psychological trap. When her words are beautiful and her actions are ugly, you start blaming yourself for noticing the difference. You start thinking things like, maybe she's stressed, maybe I'm expecting too much, maybe I'm not appreciating her enough. But no, the truth is simple. When someone loves you, they don't make you guess. They don't make you question whether you matter. They don't accidentally hurt you the same way 10 times. They don't preach love and deliver excuses. Real love is loud in action and quiet in promises. Fake love is loud in promises and silent in action. If her actions confused you more than her words reassured you, that's not love, that's manipulation. If you always had to interpret her behavior instead of feeling her love, that's not connection, that's emotional instability. If she always had reasons why she couldn't give more, but never had effort when you needed it, that's not bad timing, that's strategic neglect. A woman who never loved you will always speak like she cares, until the moment caring costs her something. Love is shown in effort, not in vocabulary. Love is proven in consistency, not in comfort. Love is seen in patterns, not in promises. If she constantly said the right things but never did the right things, you weren't loved. You were managed through emotional grammar. Sign 3, she never saw you, only what you could do for her. A woman who never really loved you never fell for you. She fell for the utility that came with you. She didn't care about your soul, your dreams, your fears, or your identity. She cared about the version of you that benefited her. To her, you were not a man. You were a resource, a walking checklist of emotional, financial, or social advantages. And the moment you stopped being useful, she stopped being interested. That's not love. That's transactional attachment. If she truly loved you, she would have cared about your mind, your peace, your growth. But instead, she only cared about how you made her feel, what you provided, and what you protected her from. With her, your value wasn't who you were. It was what you offered. She liked your attention, not your personality. She liked your loyalty, not your character. She liked your effort, not your heart. She liked your stability, not your soul. She never asked, how are you really doing? She only asked, can you do this for me? She never noticed when you were mentally exhausted. She only noticed when you weren't available. And that's the difference. A woman who loves you notices your tiredness. A woman who never loved you only notices your availability. You could give her the world, and it still wouldn't register because she wasn't in love with you. She was in love with the lifestyle, the attention, the emotional security, the validation, or the upgrades you provided. That's why she was nice when you were giving and distant when you were drained. That's why she praised you when you were useful and criticized you when you set boundaries. That's why she called you the best guy ever when she needed you and not enough when she didn't, because to her, you weren't a man. You were a tool. And tools don't get loved, they get used until they break. And here's the painful truth. When a woman never truly loved you, she will replace you but keep the benefits. Same attention, new provider, same validation, new host, same comfort, new man, because she was never attached to the person, only the service package. A woman who loves you will stay even when you have nothing but presence. A woman who never loved you will vanish the moment you stop supplying what she wants. Ask yourself, did she stay when you were empty? Did she care when you were struggling? Did she love you when you had nothing to give? If the answer is no, then she never loved you. She only rented your kindness. Real love values you. Fake love values what you bring. And once she finds a man who brings more, she disappears like you never existed, not because she moved on from you, but because she was never with you in the first place. Sign 4. You felt alone. Even while being with her, one of the clearest signs she never truly loved you is this: you felt lonely even when she was right beside you. That's the kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being physically alone. It comes from being emotionally unseen. A woman who never loved you can sit next to you, talk to you, laugh with you, sleep with you, and yet you still feel like you're in the relationship by yourself, and that's because you were. You weren't missing her presence. You were missing her connection. You weren't craving her touch. You were craving her care. You weren't begging for attention. You were begging for emotional truth. Love makes you feel understood. Fake love makes you feel like you're constantly explaining yourself, defending yourself, or trying to earn basic affection. You kept trying to be good enough, not realizing the problem wasn't you. The problem was that she was never emotionally invested in the first place. You could share your stress, and she'd change the subject. You could open up about your pain, and she'd say, "You're overthinking." You could try to connect deeper, and she'd suddenly become busy. You could be dying inside, and she'd treat it like bad vibes. Meanwhile, if she had a mood swing, a slight inconvenience, or a random insecurity, suddenly everything had to stop. And you were expected to understand, comfort, support, uplift, and heal her. Because in her mind, her emotions mattered. Yours were optional. That is not love. That is emotional one-sidedness. You didn't have a partner. You had a silent judge. Someone who expected emotional loyalty while offering emotional absence. Someone who wanted your vulnerability but never offered theirs. Someone who wanted you to listen, fix, protect, care, while giving you nothing that actually nourished you as a man. And that's why you felt more alone with her than you ever did without her. Because real love fills you. Fake love empties you and blames you for noticing. Or a woman who loves you will enter your world. She will ask questions. She will pay attention. She will feel with you. A woman who never loved you will only act present when the moment benefits her ego, her comfort, or her emotional needs. You felt alone because you were the only one trying. You were the only one emotionally alive in the relationship. You were the only one fighting for something she never planned to keep. And deep down, you knew it. You knew something was wrong every time you shared your heart and got silence. You knew it every time you tried to connect and got a cold reaction. You knew it every time you needed love and got logic, distance, excuses, or attitude. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say. A woman who never loved you will give you presence without intimacy, time without depth, and attention without care, and somehow make you feel guilty for wanting more. You weren't too emotional. You weren't too needy. You weren't asking too much. You were just asking for basic love from someone who never planned to give it. And that is why you felt alone. Not because you were unlovable, but because you were with someone who was never capable of loving you in the first place. Sign 5. She was emotionally available for everyone except you. A woman who never really loved you will always have emotions, just not for you. That's the painful irony. She wasn't cold, she wasn't numb, she wasn't going through something. She simply reserved her emotional energy for people she actually cared about. She could laugh with her friends, open up to her ex, share her fears with strangers online, rant to her coworker, get vulnerable with her female circle. But when you needed emotional connection, suddenly she was tired, not in the mood, busy, or just not that expressive. She wasn't emotionally dead, she was emotionally selective, and you were not on the list. She texted others back instantly, but left you on read. She shared her problems with someone else, but told you it's nothing. She posted emotional quotes on social media, but mocked you for being emotional. She gave comfort to her friends, but told you to man up. When she cared about someone else's feelings, it was understanding. When you needed understanding, it was too much drama. That's because her empathy had a direction, and it wasn't toward you. Her softness had an audience, and it wasn't you. Her affection had a purpose, and you weren't it. And here's what makes it worse. She expected you to be her emotional protector while never being your emotional supporter. You were her therapist, her safe space, her comfort, her cure. But when you had a bad day, she either minimized it, ignored it, or made it about herself. She acted like your pain was an inconvenience. She treated your vulnerability like weakness. She responded to your emotions with irritation, not care. And yet, she had endless emotional energy for the guy who barely respects her, the friend who drains her, the man who gives her attention without commitment, the people who never show up the way you did. You weren't asking for too much. You were just asking for reciprocity, something she never planned to give. Because a woman who never loved you doesn't want to connect with you emotionally. She only wants access to your emotions so she can use them. She wants you caring, not cared for. She wants you invested, not understood. She wants you emotionally available, while she stays emotionally distant. And that's why you always felt like she cared more about how she looked in the relationship than the relationship itself. She gave her heart in pieces, but never to you. She gave her softness, just not in your direction. She gave her comfort, but you never got a seat at that table. Because you weren't the man she felt for. You were the man she benefited from. And here's the brutal truth. A woman who truly loves you will want to be your peace. A woman who never loved you will make you feel like a burden for needing peace. She wasn't emotionally exhausted. She was emotionally unavailable for you. And if a woman can cry to others, laugh with others, open up to others, and connect deeply with others, but becomes a stone wall with you, that's not a phase. That's not overthinking. That's not miscommunication. That's the truth. She had emotions. She just never planned to share them with you. Sign 6. She never respected you, only what you did for her. A woman who never really loved you will pretend to respect you, but only as long as you're useful, impressive, or beneficial to her. She doesn't respect you as a man. She respects the services you provide. The moment you stop performing, the respect disappears, and her true view of you is exposed, not as a partner, not as a king, not as a man worthy of honor, but as a replaceable provider of value. That's why she only praised you when you were doing something for her. That's why she was proud of you only when you achieved something she could benefit from. That's why she loved bragging about your wins, but went silent when you struggled, because she never respected who you were, only what you could provide. Your money, your attention, your emotional stability, your problem solving, your availability, your loyalty. She didn't respect your boundaries. She called them attitude or ego. She didn't respect your masculinity. She tried to control it or shame it. She didn't respect your opinions. She only accepted them if they matched hers. She didn't respect your time. You were always supposed to be ready when she wanted something. She didn't respect your effort. She treated it like the bare minimum, because in her mind, you didn't deserve respect. You were supposed to earn it over and over again, while she deserved respect by just existing. That's how a woman thinks when she never loved you. She sees your sacrifices as obligations, not acts of love. She sees your loyalty as expected, not valued. She sees your support as standard, not appreciated. And when a woman doesn't love you, she will test your masculinity, not honor it. She'll push your patience, mock your beliefs, belittle your emotions, talk down to you, compare you to other men, and still expect you to stay calm. Because in her mind, you don't get upset, you get controlled. A woman who respects you will never insult you during arguments, laugh at your pain, compare you to other men, make you feel small to feel powerful, use disrespect as a weapon. But a woman who never loved you, she will weaponize disrespect because she knows it breaks a man from the inside. She will call it joking when it's really belittling. She will call it honesty when it's actually humiliation. She will call it you're too sensitive when it's actually emotional abuse. And here's the real lesson: love without respect is not love, it's emotional dominance. A woman can like you, need you, use you, enjoy you, and still have zero respect for you as a man. That's why you always felt like you had to prove your worth, like you were one mistake away from losing her. Like she valued everything you did more than who you were, because she didn't love you. She loved the version of you she could benefit from. And the day you stop performing, stop pleasing, stop fixing, stop tolerating, she doesn't become sad, she becomes disrespectful because now she has no reason to pretend. A woman who truly loves you will respect you even when you're not perfect. A woman who never loved you will only respect you when you're useful. Once the benefit ends, the respect ends. And once the respect ends, the illusion of love collapses. Sign 7, she moved on fast. Because she was never emotionally attached, one of the most brutal signs she never truly loved you is how easily and quickly she moved on. Not just moved on, replaced you like you were never there. A woman who truly loved you goes through grief, withdrawal, emotional shock, and healing. A woman who never loved you goes through a smooth transition into the next man, the next source of attention, or the next psychological host. Because she wasn't heartbroken, she was just reassigning her benefits. You were shocked. She was already talking to someone new. You were hurting. She was posting glowing and healing pictures online. You were replaying memories. She was already rewriting them. You were questioning your worth. She was updating her status. That's because you were attached. She was comfortable. You were in love. She was in possession. You were invested. She was entertained. Women can't move on overnight unless they were never emotionally bonded to begin with. You were going through heartbreak. She was going through a schedule change. And the truth is simple. She didn't fall out of love. She was never in love. She didn't heal fast. There was nothing to heal from. She didn't forget you. She never stored you emotionally in the first place. You were the one who lost sleep, replayed moments, analyzed every word, blamed yourself, wondered what went wrong. She didn't ask, "How is he coping?" She only asked, "What's next for me?" Because to her, love wasn't a connection. It was a timeline. And when your time expired, she didn't mourn you. She replaced the role you played. That's why she didn't need closure. That's why she didn't apologize. That's why she didn't reflect. That's why she wasn't shattered. She was relieved. Not because you were bad, but because she was never truly attached. Her heart didn't break. Her routine changed. Her emotions didn't collapse. Her supply shifted. And the part that destroys men the most? You thought she was hurting like you were. You thought she was crying too. You thought she was replaying every moment. But she wasn't. Because heartbreak requires love, and she never had it for you. If she can go from "I love you" to "who's next" in a week, it's because her love was never real. It was performance-based. If she can jump into another man's arms instantly, it's because she was already emotionally disconnected long before she physically left. If she acts like you were never in her heart, it's because you never were. Just in her plans, her comfort, her ego, or her convenience. It wasn't love that ended, it was usage that expired. Real love needs time to let go. Fake love only needs a replacement. She didn't move on fast because she's emotionally strong. She moved on fast because there was nothing inside her to process. And once you understand this, the pain turns into clarity. She didn't leave because you weren't enough. She left because loving you was never her intention, only benefiting from you was. If you made it this far and recognized even 2 or 3 of these signs, then here's the truth no one wants to admit, but every man eventually learns the hard way. She didn't love you. She just loved what loving you allowed her to have. That's the difference between a woman who feels for you and a woman who only feeds off you. One gives love, the other takes advantage of it. One grows with you, The other drains you. One chooses you even when it's hard. The other leaves the moment it's not easy anymore. And the most painful part? It wasn't that she left, it's that she never arrived. Not emotionally, not mentally, not soulfully. You were in a relationship. She was in a situation that benefited her, but here's the truth that should give you power, not pain. A woman who never loved you can't break you. She can only reveal you. She reveals your tolerance for disrespect. She reveals your need for validation. She reveals your fear of letting go. She reveals how long you'll stay where you're not valued. And once you finally see it, you don't beg anymore. You don't chase anymore. You don't try harder. You don't wait for her to change. You don't hope she comes back. You simply upgrade your standards and never let access be given where love was never offered. Because the lesson isn't, she didn't love me. The real lesson is, next time, I don't hand my heart to someone who never earned it.